Esteemed guest, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Iram Gonsalves, and I'm leading the transformation team at Aga Khan University. It's my pleasure to welcome you to another installment of our Distinguished Speaker Series. I wish to begin by thanking our partners, the University of Central Asia and Global CIO Forum, who have provided instrumental support in delivering this speaker series. I'm also pleased to welcome members of Pakistan's CIO Forum, who've taken time to join us in person today in this exciting lecture. I would start with requesting our provost, Dr. Kal, to share his welcome remarks.
Thank you, Aram. Hello from Istanbul. Good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum. I'd like to welcome all of you, as Aram has just done, and particularly our collaborating partners at the University of Central Asia, AKU, and our sister institution, the University of Central Asia, look for opportunities whenever we can find them for joint activity. I'd also like to invite and thank the CIOs and the Global CIO Forum for joining us here. By way of remarks, many times I'm asked the question, why is AKU putting so much into the electronic health record project? It is our single largest investment in our history, aside from building buildings. And in fact, when we include the expenditures by our sister healthcare agencies, the Aga Khan Health Services, the electronic health record project will be one of the largest investments in the history of the Aga Khan Integrated Health System, UCA, AKU, AKHS. So why are we doing it? Why are we spending so many of our time, so much staff, so much financial resources on this project? Couple major reasons. First, we believe, based on the evidence from around the world, that with the onset of the electronic health record, we will be able to provide better, faster, and less expensive service to our client group, our patients. And this is entirely consistent with the mandate established for us by our Chancellor, His Highness the Aga Khan, 40 years ago in March of 2023. In addition, we have large volumes of data that have been collected over this period of time, as well as data collected in East Africa and Afghanistan and other parts of the world where we have healthcare delivery systems. We believe, again, based on best evidence from around the world, that we can develop the sophisticated data analytics that will allow us to better identify pre-existing conditions so that we can better forecast what might be in store for our patients based on those who have gone before. We believe, secondly, that we will be able to generate powerful insights by comparing the data stored across our many geographies, doing sophisticated comparative analysis. And thirdly, we think we will be able to gain powerful insights in coming up with clinical protocols to deal with the conditions that we find in our country, sometimes conditions like macular degeneration in Pakistan that have a very different origin than is the case in some other countries. We look to attract cooperation of our partners in industry, the CIOs in the room, the companies that are with us, as well as some international pharmaceuticals who have shown some interest in tapping into our organized data sets to better serve the populations in the countries where AKU, AKHS, UCA have a presence. So these are some of the very quick reasons why we are putting so much into the investment of our electronic health record. And the system we have chosen, Meditech Expanse, we think is ideally suited to the conditions that we confront in our countries, the so-called lower middle income countries. As a leading university in our geographies, we think AKU once again can provide a very powerful example an example that we hope others will emulate. We are very proud of our partnership with Meditech Expanse. I'd like to personally thank Michelle and Sushant for coming to Karachi to see the next location. We went live in Nairobi in November last year. Now we are getting ready to pivot from East Africa to Karachi in Pakistan and beyond. So thank you all for joining this lecture. I'd like to personally thank Aga Khan, who puts quite a lot of effort into organizing this series for us, and his team that spend so much time getting it organized. To those of you who are listening, AKU and myself personally, we stand by to share our experiences with you. If you have any interest in understanding why we decided to go with an EHR and why we chose Meditech Expanse and the lessons learned from the first go live in our part of the world in East Africa, we stand by to share our experiences, to share our learnings. So thank you all. I wish you a good day. And Aram, back to you, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kal. I would now like to invite Mr. Syed Abdul Qadir, Executive Director at PwC, to share some remarks on behalf of the Global CIO Forum.
Thank you very much, everyone, and thank you very much, AKU, management, and Shaukat for inviting us and all the CIOs. So I would like to say some points on behalf of Global CIO Forum. Actually, I am the Executive Director of Technology and Cybersecurity Risk Assurance at PwC Pakistan. But I also, I am being the founder of the Technology, CIO and Security Leaders Group of Pakistan, which comprises of the elite, about 200 CIOs and CISOs of Pakistan. So I can proudly say that the best brains of Pakistan are in that group. And top 30, 40 people are also attending this session as well. So just for the Global CIO Forum is luckily the biggest forum of the CIOs in the world, actually. They have just organized the world's largest CIO Excellence and Leadership Award held at Thailand, Bangkok this November 2022. And the Global CIO Forum receives tens of thousands of submissions annually, of which approximately 5,000 are nominated for the further consideration. So out of these nominations, 200 of these nominations have been awarded as the World CIO Grand Finalist, you can say Grand Finalist, or the World CIO Award winner this year at the Grand Finale. It was one of the largest congregation of mainly technology, digital transformation, business continuity, and cybersecurity risk experts and champions, including mix of strategy and leadership training programs they have held, and some of us have attended as the session, wellness workshops, technology, motivational keynotes. Felicitation of 200 CIOs and industry leaders has been happened to recognize their leadership role in accelerating digital transformation. Luckily, I have also moderated the cross-panel session on the business continuity and risk management, which has been attended by the 5 top CISOs from of the leading company of the world. 2 companies were from the Fortune 500 as well, from Portugal, from UAE, India, and Bahrain. Here, I just would like to congratulate our 4 CIOs and 1 CISO who had been selected among these top 200 technology leaders in the world CIO Summit Grand Finale. The CIOs who got the award are, number 1, our very beloved Mr. Shaukat Ali Khan, Global CIO, AKU. Unfortunately, Mr. Ijlal is not here. And Shaukat, can you please come on the stage as well? Mr. Wasim Rashid, Group CIO, IBL. Mr. Ijlal Jafri, Group CIO, Martin Dow. He's unfortunately absent today. Mr. Khaja Tanveer Salim, CIO, UEPL. one of the CISO has also got the award, which is OS Ijaz from Allied Bank Limited. So I also feel very proud in informing the audience that Mr. Shaukat Ali Khan has also been awarded the DX Inspire Award, which is reserved for only top 10 projects of the world. And that is why he has headed that project. That is why he got the award of the top 10 award from already 200 selected finalists. So big round of applause for all of them, and looking forward to more participation from the technology leaders of Pakistan, so we can raise the flag high. Luckily, just blowing my own trumpet that this year I also got the award, including. So thank you very much, and looking forward to bring this technology fraternity of Pakistan at the global stage, at global level. Thank you very much. Take care.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good morning, everyone. First of all, thank you very much for your time in joining us here. And all the participants who are joining online, thank you very much, everyone. And thank you, Syed Abdul Qadir, for your kind words. I would now like to introduce our speaker, Michelle O'Connor, President and CEO of Meditech USA. As some of you may know, Meditech is, as our provost also mentioned earlier, that Meditech is one of the world's leading providers of healthcare, electronic health records, or EHR systems. And it was after a thorough search and years of discussion that the Aga Khan University decided to partner with Meditech to install the first EHR system in East Africa, in Nairobi, and 45 outreach centers, as our provost already mentioned. That's already done in November. And then we are planning to start in Pakistan and other parts of the world where we are operating. And this is actually a game changer, not only for our university, but also for the country and the societies where we are operating. So I think one of the examples I would like to share with you is that the research so far, which we have been seeing from North America, from Europe, is based on the data they collect from those societies. Yeah? We don't have a system in this part of the world where we do research based on the data which we collect from these societies. And I think electronic health record has been selected based on two major drivers. One is, of course, ensuring the patient safety, and then the second one is enabling more research so that we will be able to do trending and a lot of research in the years to come. Michelle is highly regarded for the commitment to ensuring Meditech customers have an excellent user experience. She is passionate about the technical product, but retains a primary focus on people. And she has been credited with establishing a strong and engaging company culture. She has kindly agreed to share with us some of her knowledge and skills on leadership in the modern era. Let us please give a warm welcome to Michelle.
Thank you all for having me. I really do appreciate it, Shaukat. Again, congratulations to everyone that received the awards today. I do believe that the CIOs that are out there today have a different job. I've been in healthcare IT for 35 years this year, and it has dramatically changed. You are the heart of how data moves around the system. You protect the data, you provide the data up to the end users, you analyze the data, and when something isn't wrong, it's all on your shoulders. So you have an extremely difficult job, especially in today's world. I actually am kind of happy that today I don't have to really talk about healthcare IT. So I'm going to just get into talking about leadership. I'm going to start a little bit about Meditech because that will kind of tell you a little bit about how we at Meditech lead and what our experiences are. Meditech was founded in 1969 by our founder, A. Neil Pappalatto, who worked at Mass General Hospital and he's an MIT grad. He had developed an operating system, a language to write code, and the reason he did this was to ensure that labs, the results of labs could get to the floors so the doctors could make clinical decisions based upon the results of a lab. And the technology was born to network, because he had his own networking protocol. And I think you all understand networking protocols, databases, software designs, and security. And at that time, there was nothing out there for the breadth and depth of data that healthcare data needed. Many of you are CIOs across different industries here, but if anyone works in healthcare knows that the breadth and depth of healthcare data is enormous. And what we had to learn and evolve over these past 53 years has been incredible. We are in 2,250 facilities worldwide. The average tenure of our executive team has been at Meditech for 35 years. Now, don't let that make you think that anyone is complacent. We have gone through technology, we've gone through old mini computers, and now we have this new Expanse product that is fully web enabled, that is mobile, that gets to the end users what they need, how they need it. Our average tenure of our team is 14 and a half. Of our 3,300 employees, 14 and a half years in a technology business in the US is something to say about our culture and who we are. We are employee owned. We're employee owned and privately held. So Neil owns the majority of the company, but the employees themselves have a large stake in the company. And we have been profitable for over 46 years. Meditech was started in the US. We quickly expanded into Canada. We went to Africa and Middle East with a company partner, a company called Meditech South Africa. That's in Africa and the Middle East. 30 years ago, we went into the UK and Ireland, and that is a very fast-growing part of our business right now. And we've been in for 15 and a half years in the Asia-Pacific region throughout Australia and Singapore. So as we continue to reach out to different countries, the things that we have learned is the delivery of care tends to be very similar, but when it comes down to business operations, it's very different. How you actually get reimbursed, how you receive and run your businesses are different. There are idiosyncrasies to the delivery of care, the type of questions you ask. If you go into the US and you're looking to do nursing care, the amount of data a nurse has to collect just for the government is astronomical. And it's not always necessary for the delivery of care. So that's a strong balance. And I think that some of the things that we find when we go into different countries is that we can actually streamline the delivery of care much better. But the most important thing is collecting the data, because with data comes power. And as you have CIOs, you're going to be leveraged to make sure that those reports and those digital data analytical views get up to the executive team so that they can make quick decisions. But more importantly, I think, Shakit, you said it best, is the world's research has been done in university health systems. It needs to expand across the globe. It needs to expand into communities. It needs to expand into the diverse populations that care is actually delivered. So the right delivery of care can be given at the most economical price, because we all know that delivery of care can be expensive. But as a global company, building leaders to get into and understands what's happening in all these different parts of the world can be a challenge. A little bit about me. I am a programmer. If anyone ever asks me, what do? I say I'm a wannabe programmer. I used to program. I was hired as a programmer at Meditech. I was a trained programmer. I went to school for mathematics and computer science. But I'm known for collaboration, which in the 90s probably was a little oxymoron, being a programmer and being collaborative. If you're a programmer here in the 90s, very introverted. That was not me. So if I can write code today in time, I try to do it. I try to stay in touch with the coders. I can sit down with them. I can break apart problems. I may not be able to use the language that they're using right now, but for the most part, I can get they can appreciate the fact that I do understand what they're going through. And as a leader in a technology company, being able to understand what what your core business is trying to deliver is very critical, and to have those conversations, staying abreast. I'm known for collaboration. I love to bring different people together to help solve a problem, because a problem cannot be solved by just one person. Any school you go to, any university you go to today in time, it's always about project and team leadership projects, things that need to be done, bringing the right people together, using the strengths of those people. Before I took on the role of being CEO, Meditech has we only promote from within. So it's the ability to identify future leaders, give them a role, train them in that role so that you know that you're going to be bringing them up. So I was named Chief Operating Officer in 2016 and held that role until 2022. This is my second year as CEO. And as a COO, I got experience with more than just the development team, but the rest of the company. How do you our service division, our implementation division, marketing and sales. Whoever thought a programmer would care about marketing and sales? And today in time, as president and CEO, I'm now dealing with property and business buildings, and what am I going to lease or am I going to buy, and how to do various things. And never ever thought that would be who I was. I'm known at Meditech for changing our legacy platform that the AKU system currently is on and modernizing it, and working with physician systems. Although my background was more on the revenue cycle and business operations, I really brought forward and was passionate about making sure that the end users of clinicians, primarily the physicians, could use a system that was mobile, that was a browser-based system that could be brought out into the delivery of care in a streamlined way. There are many systems in the US that currently do what we do. I'm very proud to say that we are one of the top 3 vendors. We tend to go anywhere from 1, 2, and 3 based upon the decade. Right now we're 2 and moving up. We have the latest technology that is out there, and it is the only web-based product out there. And as CIOs, the challenges of having a web-based product have been very different, especially for someone that came in on mini computers. So a couple of things I'm going to talk about are, I'm going to start leading through a global pandemic. If what we thought about leadership 3 years ago if the global pandemic didn't happen, I think we'd have a different story to tell about leadership right now. The idea that on March 14th, on March 9th, I had made the decision that the company would be fully remote on March 14th. Everyone in our office was sick. We had shut down. We had made decisions no longer to travel. And we just said, let's all go home for 2 weeks and get healthy and make sure everyone stays healthy. But doing that, we had the foresight to think this isn't going to be just for 2 weeks. And what we had to do is prepare everybody to do things differently. Be in a hybrid, work from home. We had only allowed people to work from home 1 day a week. I don't know, did any of you have the ability to work from home? The first decision we made was everyone had to have a camera. You couldn't go home without a camera. And it was up to leadership to say, you had to have a daily meeting with every supervisor had to have a meeting virtually with every team member. Turn the video on. They didn't want the video on. They didn't have a video camera. Ship them a video camera the next day. Put it on. And making sure that people still stayed connected. That was probably our biggest fear, is that people wouldn't feel connected. I know everybody has staffing challenges right now. We went through the first 9 months, nobody left anywhere. Everyone was scared, everyone stayed home. Turnover was almost nothing. Then the great resignation hit. Did you all have problems with resignations? Everybody's technology people kept jumping at jobs. They just found different ways to do it. And I think working from home helped them do that. It helped them find jobs. It kind of helped them, I don't want to say stay less loyal, but the opportunities could drop in their laps. They would be sitting on Slack, right? And all of a sudden, different opportunities would pop up, and they're like, oh, I'll take a 30-minute interview. And off they would go, and I'd get their resignation, and I'm like, oh no, what are we going to do? So we did go through the great resignation. We had a great recruiting team, and last year we actually grew by 7%. So even though we lost a tremendous amount of talent, we were able to backfill. But of course, we all know that those talented individuals you hired take time to onboard, learn your culture, learn your technologies that you're using and your products and things that you're doing and things like that. I don't know about Pakistan and what you all go through here with workplace regulations, but it is incredible the amount of HR issues that I currently am handling. You can only, it's not work hours, but it's leaves. People need to have the ability to take leaves, and you've got to do the documentation. And we've had such a flexible work culture that if someone needed time off, they just took the time off. And now it all needs to be documented. And the healthcare industry marketplace has had its challenges. First of all, I think the ability to hire clinicians has been difficult. The ability to hire IT professionals has been challenging. How do you find them? So how do I, as a EHR vendor, provide better support, better product to make sure that nurses can use the system in the most efficient manner, and that maybe there's 2 or 3 less IT personnel that need to be hired in order to service the electronic health record for a healthcare organization. I think you would appreciate if I could continue to reduce the number of people you need. And operating margins for our customers are always slim. We pride ourselves at Meditech on being one of the most affordable healthcare systems. Not one of the more richer product functionalities, but at a more affordable price. We also provide a lot of flexibility so that when we do come into an organization like the Aga Khan University Health System, it can be tailored to the delivery of care and the business operations that happen here. So these are all the challenges that we've had to deal with. Agreed? You're still having more resignations? We're very fortunate right now. I think in the US, the recession is kind of there, so there's less people looking for people. So I think if you're sitting at home, you're getting less dings on your at-home computer saying, here's an opportunity for you. So we're not getting as many people leaving the company right now. But all of the people that we hired last year, we have to make sure that they're trained, that they have the skill sets in order to install and things like that. Are those similar challenges to what you're all having? I'm sorry? They do have a lot of opportunity for freelancing, and they love to have a full-time job and freelance at the same time.
Currently, this talent, technical talent is a global talent pool, and people sitting here can do job anywhere. So if I look at
It is. And the best thing to do, I mean, what we're trying to do right now is figure out the ways that we can continue to build that community connection. That the word of 2023 is community connection. People are sitting there, I'm getting my job done, I can get my task done, right? I can get it done. Of course you can get it done. We've spent 3 years all at home working, getting it done. There's a fabric at Meditech, a community. And in March of 2020, it was extremely strong knit. We had just come off of our 50th anniversary, and we had a huge year of celebration. And we tend to say we bleed green, that our colors are green. We bleed green because we are such passionate people about the healthcare industry, delivering care, the technology, how it was built, and all of that built in. And when you all go home and everyone's in their computer on video, it kind of gets into that piece of, I just work for the company. And that fabric has been continued to fray. How do we bring it back? What is the method? What is the strategies to kind of get people to come back to the office? Because we all know that when you're in the office, you have the conversation about your family. You have the hellos. You have that next connection. And you can say, oh, how is Jane doing in college this year? And is she still dancing? And that is so important because when you get that job opportunity dropped in your lap while you're sitting at home, you forget about that. You forget that someone really knows me and cares about me. So how do you bring that back in? One of the strategies we have this year is building a community, or re-networking our community. And I am requiring all leadership to be in the office no less than 3 days a week. So leadership must be there.
People you lost, were you losing them to the same industry competitors, or they actually were leaving industry as such? Any clue on that?
Most of them were leaving for other technology opportunities. Oh, I'm sorry. So the question was, are we losing people to the industry or outside of the industry? For Meditech, we have two types of team members. We have our technical team members, and then we have our installation and support team. So we have programmers and security people and people building our products, and then we have our customer service team members. Our customer service implementation team members, they would go off to other industries, project management type people. They could find jobs in other industries such as that. Our technology people were just going to other technology companies. I mean, and I know some of people who left Meditech are on their second and third job. They're hopping, and they found an opportunity there, and then they got another opportunity somewhere else. The skill sets these technology people need and are desirable. If you have a security person, you have a web developer, a web engineer, a cloud analyst, they are very marketable. So how do you attract that talent, but retain them? Attracting them, you've got to pay them. That is one of the things that we've identified is we had to look at what the compensation for those roles were and change some of our compensation. But the retaining is our community and connecting people together and convincing them that being a part of the community means you need to meet other people and you need to come into the office. So given our leadership team, I mentioned 35 years is our executive team and about 14 and a half years tenure. Well, those people that have been here 14 and a half, 15 years, they're sitting there like, I know everybody. It's like, but the new people don't know you. And you're part of a community and building that out. So do I have social activities? Yes, I have social activities. Do I provide them lunch? I absolutely provide them lunch. I try to find ways to get them into having networking events in the office and at the same find productive events. So if you're coming in, let's do a whiteboard session and bring them in from that perspective. It's working slowly. I did have a lot of, I probably had about 15 technology people say, I don't want to have anything to do about coming in the office. I want to be 100% remote. I want to work from Montana. I had one person over the holidays working in Africa. We don't allow, given the fact that most of our people, if you're working on data in the US, we require you to be in the US working on the data. Even though you can work remotely, it's something we had told our customers 20 years ago, and it was written in contracts. So we're like, you have to be at your home where you said you would be home. The privacy of data that we work with is incredible. So we always know the location that an employee is working, and it should be your home location if you're not in the office. We don't let people work out of Starbucks. I don't know why someone wants to work out of Starbucks. It's too expensive. The coffee's too expensive there. They do. And that's part of the challenge. I'm going to get into that in 1 second. So some of the problems that we have are the multi-generational teams that we work with. We've been in the industry for 53 years. I have 22-year-olds, and I have 70-year-olds. What they want and what they need are all different. And even what the 30-year-olds used to want is not the same thing they wanted post-COVID. Before COVID, there was a lot of different benefits they wanted. Now they want to be there when the kids get off the school bus. The moms want to be able to get them on the bus and get them off the bus. Even though the kids are like 11, 12, 13 years old, and they can probably be by themselves after school, the fact that someone is at home when they're there, they like that. And how does that work in a hybrid office? And it truly is a hybrid office. It's not going, we're not going to be 100% full-time. And honestly, it's my mid-50s, 60-year-olds that want to be in the office. They miss the camaraderie of having people around. Their kids have gone off to college. They want to have their networks back of the community, which is nice because I need them to network with my 20-year-olds. Because my new college grads, they want the flexibility, but they also want the connections. So it is a challenge. Does anyone have any experience with some of this? Yes.
Actually, this is happening all days long. In COVID, we have seen it everywhere. The young millennials and Gen Z, they don't need people to sit together because they have WhatsApp, Facebook, everything is there. They find you in CVs and they invite you as a friend. So, they are getting their experience through the techs. Technology has changed the mindset, how the people were networking. So if I talk to my daughter now, she has 700 friends, and I don't know what are the names of those, but it is very easy for them to tag a friend and untag a friend. So these things are changing, so we have to understand how they are thinking. And according to that, we have to change the environment of the office so that the people or these Generation Z people can stay in the office. So.
You're right. I have, my daughter's 26 and my son is 22. My son will graduate in May. He's only looking for a job where he can have in-office time. He went through the pandemic fully remote through college for 2 years. He will not be a fully remote, but he wants the flexibility. My daughter's boyfriend started a new job October 1st. Nobody goes into the office but him, but he likes it. Want to know why? Because leadership's there. And when he's there doing his work, and occasionally people come in and get to know him, but his vice president came up to him and said, "Hey, who are you? You're here all the time and like to know more about you." Then the CEO came up and talked to him. So one of the things that we encourage our leadership to do by coming into the office is going and talking to the people that are coming in and doing loops around the buildings and just sitting by somebody else just to make those connections so that when they do show up, they know that they're part of something. There's the informality of it, and maybe they're less likely to unfriend me easily or unemploy me, please.
Yeah, so it's working with the young people, the challenge is that they need a lot of flexibility, as you said. Also, they need to know that the work they're doing is connected to something and is actually having some impact. That's also they need to know. And one thing I've also learned that they need constant validation. So otherwise they will, they will lose motivation, they'll lose interest, and then they'll start looking for other roles. So they need constant validation. These are the things which I have seen with them. The question which I have from you is around collaboration. You said you're collaboration champion and all that, and this is, I think, the most difficult problem in the corporate life, if you ask me. Especially when especially when you're working with different teams with conflicting objectives and conflicting goals. How do you bring all of this together? As you said, you are champion in collaboration.
Well, first of all, one of the things that we do from a leadership perspective is we've defined our goals. This is what we need to collectively do for the year. And these are the teams that need to work together, although more than likely other teams will be brought in. So that we kind of, instead of having the competing interests, we just make sure that collectively we're going in the same direction for the most part, so that there's multiple parallels going on. But to get team collaboration going on is dropping it down, the accountability, to a manager or a middle management or lower management level, and getting accountability down low and giving them the autonomy to bring in what they need and define what they need to get that project done. That's hard for some of the upper management to let that accountability down, because ultimately of course I'm going to call one of the officers or my CIO to the table because the project didn't get installed in time. But if they can get accountability down and getting people feeling like they own something, that is really the driving force of getting people engaged, involved, getting the Gen Zers. It's very nice that I work in an industry that delivers software to the healthcare industry. People get passionate about that we can provide tools to help improve the delivery of care, that will help a patient, that helps a business run to ensure that healthcare, it's always going to be there. That's not as hard as it is to get accountability. And then the Gen Zers, the 20-somethings, if they can own a project and get the team members assigned to that project, that they can deliver something and feel the value to the company, that's really what we're starting and striving to do, is move it down as quickly as we can, allowing communication up. We flattened out our organization, so we just have supervisors, managers, directors, and AVPs. So we no longer have supervisors, senior supervisors, managers. So it's a much flatter organization is one of the other things that we've strived to do to allow that to happen. When you're trying to get the right people to the table, how do I know who they are? That's my biggest challenge right now, is identifying the lower level people to bring to the table, because leadership doesn't always want to say who their good people are. We have, I mentioned before, we've got about 3,300 people. There's about 1,200 in my development team. And so there's 3 AVPs in that group, and getting them to all collaborate and work together. I will say my development team is much more collaborative than of any of my other teams. Something we're not necessarily proud of, when we came out with our 50th anniversary book of like the last 50 years and you going through time, our team was founded by a white computer science guy from MIT. His first hire he was Italian, by the way. He hired another Italian man to run the company, be the operations guy. And everyone that was coming out of MIT and Harvard and the IT schools were all white. So our history of 50 years was very bland colors. Our leaders, though, at the time, thought it very important to make sure that everyone was treated equal. We don't talk about diversity and inclusion at Meditech. We talk about our code of ethical conduct of treating everyone the same, about providing benefits to everybody, irrelevant if you're married or not. It didn't matter in 1988 when I was hired, as long as you were in a committed relationship with anybody, you could have health care insurance for your family. That is the basis of our company. So we might have only been very bland colored white people in our history, but it didn't matter if you were what your what's the word I want to use? It didn't matter what your gender was, what your sexual orientation was, or anything like that. It was very inclusive, but we never talked about it. When our first individual came forward that was transgender, and they were transitioning, the question was, well, he was like, well, what did I do? And I was like, well, what do you want to do? If that's what you feel. So we then at that time said, well, our bathrooms aren't male and female. Let's use whatever facilities that are that you want to use. It didn't matter. And we just built that culture right into our code of ethical conduct and who we are. Today in time, we have a lot of effort to get into the middle schools. A lot of our charities that we work with are to get into the middle schools and get more and more people involved, going into the inner cities and getting more inner city team members to get interested in technology and get them up and running so that we can have, just like healthcare, bringing the healthcare to different parts of the world, we want to bring technology learning to different parts of the socioeconomic sphere so that everyone can be part of technology. And that helps us with recruiting in the long run as well. So from a diversity and inclusion perspective, we go at it with how do we go get the right people? By the way, Meditech has 2 officers that are male. The other 7 are all female. I attributed that to our founding team, Neil and Larry, and that they always chose the right people for the right jobs. I don't know if I worked in another company, if this would have been my role. But they always thought about it. We had the first company that ever had the ability to be part-time after being a mom. You could go part-time for whatever you wanted. 2 of our current officers, before they were officers, worked part-time for 16 years. And when they became officers of the company, they then became full-time. That was one of the requirements, you had to be full-time. But the fact that you could grow a career and be involved at a part-time mode. Our part-time, we actually have a dad that used to be part-time, and then he became an officer and part of the company as well. So building out and treating people the way they need to be treated is our diversity and inclusion strategy. And just making sure that people feel that they're valued and not worry about saying various words that would offend somebody. Communication, communication, communication. From day 0, I've done town halls. I get out in front of our team members, you listen to them, and then you also try to hear them. You do both. By listening to people, can you hear them? Do you really understand what they're saying? Having a conversation with them to not just react, but be thoughtful. And as I say in my town halls, is you may not like my answer, but please try to understand it. Understand my perspective. I'm trying to understand your perspective. Please understand mine. And at some way we can come together. Recruiting. our biggest challenge, right? Train them. One of the things that we've identified is get a fresh new college grad and train them. I've hired people without college degrees, and they are some of my best technologists today in time. My security team, if you go to try to, I've hired a couple of top-notch security people, but brought them in, put them through training, grow them. That's the best way that we're finding our talent, is by training them and not always relying on hiring that top talent that's out there. Because that top talent that's out there is jumping. Employee retention, I've already talked about it. It's all about the culture. It's about connecting with your team. It's about that, let me understand where you're coming from, and constantly doing that. Because this past 3 years we've learned it's incredibly different and changed. And be agile. There was only one point that I didn't talk about that was on this slide, was cross-training across your organization. We tend to like to move people around. This helps keep people excited and creative, and maybe those individuals that are just getting a little tired in their role. Leadership is supposed to identify those team members and say, why don't you try something new? This project's ending, let's get you on this other technology. Let's teach you a new technology, let's teach you a new product, and kind of get them moving along. That's the other way we try to retain talent. And I think I kind of talked about everything that I wanted to present today, but I really did want to hear from you and kind of get some questions from you and maybe have some conversation. So.
May I? Yes. Hi. Like you, I have a development background and currently managing. So going through your intro, it seems that you have a programming background. You have a product development as well. So I was hoping that in your slide you would let us know what's new coming in and what are the strategies, like what Meditech is looking into, coming some new things that are coming in. Number one. Number two, in this ecosystem, these current generation, there is no one system can deliver everything, right? Now, specifically, what Meditech in future we can expect from Meditech in terms of collaboration? Like you talked about people collaboration, but what about systems collaboration? And how what are the something that we can look into? I do know from your website there's a greenfield program that you have, but the thing is, it's more towards the clinical. But what about the business sense? Because clinical would remain same across the board, the same sort as for the best practices. But what about to cater to different market? So, is there any plan to bring something new or specifically address these concerns?
I tried to keep this just to leadership today instead of Meditech and the product that we have. But in terms of the product that we have, it continues to evolve. It will be a cloud platform product. It will be available, continuing to be available with new functionality. Integration with third parties is something we constantly are striving to improve upon. Greenfield, yes. We are following what we're calling the FHIR standards for interoperability, and they're all starting in the clinical sphere, because that is where I have another talk Thursday about healthcare IT data and where all of that's going and what we want to do with that. And it all is going to be striving to data and be interoperable and be able to have that data there. The industry that's driving all of this is wanting it to be to deliver better patient care and also put more data at the patient's hands. That's why it's all clinical. So we have a lot of interoperability on the financial side. It's just not published in Greenfield.
So just to include the online participants, I will just take one question from them and then we can conclude the session. And then, of course, informal discussion will continue. Are there any major differences in leadership skills or requirements in different geographies, or is the best model applicable globally? This is a question we have received from online.
The reason I'm leading a technology company is I have a technology background and I can understand the technologists, but I listen and I'm willing to work with people. I think that is a global skill set that we all need in order to continue to understand who people are and what they bring to the table, is making sure you can communicate and go back and forth. You have to stop thinking about he's a programmer, she's a programmer, and really understand, well, why are they asking me that question? That's a skill set we all need to do, in my opinion. You may find something different based upon your makeup and your culture. Your culture will have a lot to do with how you manage people. But if it all does come down to listening and understanding and not worrying about the person that's there, but why are they asking their question?
Thank you, Michelle, for a very short but meaningful presentation. And it's my first introduction to Meditech. And from the stats you showed in the beginning to 1969, and the one that particularly intrigued me with 46 years of profitability, and your organization with over 1,000 employees. So I've classified it as a fabulous company that you guys have built. My key question, and of course, because we have some young people in the crowd, in your opinion, as you've been in the CEO role for 2 years, what are maybe 3 or 5 key characteristics of leadership for young entrepreneurs and CEOs of mid-sized companies and CIOs?
I think collaboration, being able to be a collaborative leader. Allowing yourself to delegate, give up your autonomy as a leader. Not feeling like you have to do it all yourself. If you're a new leader out there and you're doing something for the first time, tell your boss, I can take care of this. How about if I just update you daily? Let me run with it a little bit. It's going to be difficult for your boss to do, but if you take that first step forward and say, this is what I'd like to do. Do you have any advice on how I can do it? When I sit and talk to my new supervisors, I tell them a couple of stories. 95% of my ideas as CEO never get implemented. The 5% that do, maybe 0.5% are implemented in the way I envisioned it. I don't have to be the architect. I'm a leader. I need my young talent to come out and understand and listen to them. I have to listen to them. I have to guide them. I have to give them advice. But I need you as young leaders to help guide me, to tell me you're closer to the team member, you're closer to the product than I am. I have the vision. I have the drive. I've got the board's backing, but it's you. They're going to really do the work. Convince your boss that you can do it by doing it, coming up with the idea and working hard. That tends to be what I tell all new leaders. They're surprised that only 5% of my ideas even see the light of day. Does that help?
Yeah.
How can you compare the Meditech solution with other market solutions available, such as Cerner and Epic? I mean, that's a bit techy question, but would like to know about that. But because I had a chance to work with Cerner.
Okay. A fun story about Epic. Judy Faulkner and our second president of the company had conversations when Judy was starting her company. We did not want anything to do with physician systems at the time. She took over physician systems in academic medical centers. She has built a phenomenal company. It is incredible what she's done. It is very regimented. It is this is the way it's done. We take a different approach. We went more towards the community-based hospital, and then we went to the physician systems. And our system tends to be more flexible and allowing a lot more latitude to be built into it, given the diverse places that we actually get it out there. If you're in rural America, you're in a community-based hospital, you're in the UK, you're in Kenya, Nairobi. You do have to be operable within your health sphere, where your patients are going to be. Where your patients are going to be. What's also important is pushing the data to a place that it can be analyzed.
When people ask me what is the difference before going live and after going live, and I tell them that from 5th of November, Aga Khan University start talking the global healthcare system language, actually. When we talk about our systems, then North America and Europe, they understand. And when they talk about their systems, we understand, actually. So that's the difference we are talking about here.
Mm-hmm. I want to thank everybody for your time today. It was a pleasure being here, and I'm really looking forward to seeing more of what your country has. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michelle, for your time and inspiring presentation. When we have a lot of leaders in the room, it's very difficult to actually cope with 30 minutes or 25 minutes, because a lot of people, they have different perspectives, questions, and a very good discussion. And as I mentioned, that we still have a couple of more minutes after this session, where you will get a chance, or we will get a chance to talk more. And I think one of the purpose of inviting tech leaders here is that so that we can leverage our experience. In a CIO executive network, what we do is that we just learn from each other, we share our ideas, we share our frustrations also, we share our challenges also. At the same time, we learn from each other, because the way the entire technology is behaving at the moment, it's impossible that I will just stay and then I say I know everything every single day. Actually, one of Meditech's CIO live conference, where I heard that on a daily basis 200 apps are developing, they are coming into the market. So that's the speed of technology, and that's the speed of actually tech startups around the world. And then I think this is a good way of catching up from each other, that what we are missing, maybe we can learn from each other. So thank you very much for your time, for attending this one. And my colleagues at AKU, thank you very much for your time, for coming. And Michelle, thank you. And Sushant, thank you for your first visit to Pakistan. I hope that your experience will be a really good one, so that you can come back again soon. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, and have a nice day.